Welcome to Gotta Ping. I'm Mei Ping, the founder of Gotta Ping. As a next-gen leadership coach, I help high-performing young executives and entrepreneurs like you to navigate complex people and problems with top-notch communication and leadership skills to create sustained success. In today's podcast, I want to talk about why quiet doesn't mean stupid. So we are now in day 2 of my 5-day, 5-part Introverts Unite series, and welcome. As an introvert myself, I was a very quiet child when I was growing up. I was always observing people. I didn't really have much to say, even though I had a lot of ideas, right? A lot of things going on in my mind, a lot of observations, a lot of thoughts, and just being curious about things. But I never really felt the need to share. I didn't feel the need to tell people how I felt, and I was generally quite quiet. I didn't really mix around with a lot of my cousins. I didn't really have a lot of friends, and this bit we talked a little bit about in yesterday's podcast. But I want to remind everybody that quiet doesn't mean stupid, right? And I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you met a person who was fairly quiet? They smiled and they nodded their heads, but they didn't really have much to say. What was your immediate thought of that person in terms of confidence as well as competence, right? In terms of professional development. So of course, introverts generally steer towards the more the quiet side, but doesn't mean all of them are like that, right? And if you have judged someone in the past in terms of their professional abilities, dependent on whether they're quiet or loud in their opinions, this is something to really reconsider. So introverts bring a lot of value to the table, but the biggest challenge for them is that they don't always share those thoughts. So if you're an introvert, let me know if this really resonates with you. In fact, I've found that a lot of introverts are people who have a lot of insights. Because they think about things so deeply that they tend to have an opinion, right? A view or a perspective to share. The really biggest challenge is judgment by other people. Because I understand that obviously, in the corporate world, things move very quickly and we may not always have a lot of time to build deep engagements. But I do think that we should try. We should engage with people at the level that they feel comfortable. So like I always say, communication is really sharing your message and expressing yourself in a way that the other person can understand. And that's where, the listening skills come in, the questioning skills come in, to really try to draw out from the introvert. So if you have a spouse or a friend who is a highly introverted person, I'm sure you can resonate with this. They're constantly very quiet, they don't have much to say, and sometimes they'll just say, yeah, okay, yep, alright. But you can't just get more. And if you're an extrovert, you want more, right? You're just waiting for more information, more stimulation. So that's where, we meet halfway. And I would say that, if you're a team leader at work, right? You're a manager, you're a director, and you have people working for you, I would encourage you to really get to know them. Either you can do a one-on-one, for coaching and mentoring, and really try to learn about their personality. learn about what they think and what they have to say. Maybe sometimes, they just need a better and more, more safe and quiet environment to be able to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts, and that's all right. So as a manager, as a leader or a boss or a business owner, it is your responsibility to get to know your staff, right? Get to know your team, how they operate, how they behave, how they think. What you don't want to do is to quickly apply judgment, to quickly conclude that, okay, this person is so quiet, I'm sure he or she is useless. He or she can't do anything. That is absolutely not true. Some people just need more time to articulate their thoughts. And especially as an introvert, because a lot is happening in their mind. So like I said, if it's thousands of trains moving at the same time, and that's really what it is, right? So for them to pull out their thoughts and really articulate it and express it in the way that you can understand, it might be quite challenging. And I also coach quite a few highly introverted clients, and when they came to me, they talked about how difficult it was for them to express themselves, and in most instances they would just choose to not say anything, or they'll just let somebody else speak first. And for some of them, they even have a default response, right? Because if someone asks them a question or an opinion, they're still thinking about it, but they can't answer so quickly, so they end up saying, oh, okay, or but they don't actually mean it, right? So different people learn and kind of express themselves in different ways, and some people take just literally a split second, but some people might need a little bit more time. So like I said, if you're a team leader or pretty much in a management position, dealing with staff and having the need to drive your team forward, this is really something to take note of. It could be part of your own development of management skills in terms of getting along with people, dealing with people, creating win-win relationships, right? So that's something that I talked about in my last series, the top 10 soft skills. So if you missed that out, do check it out. I think as a leader, we should be open and not apply judgment to the people that we work with or we collaborate with solely based on whether they open their mouth or not. So this is really something I'm very passionate about, because when I really started in my career, I was quite quiet and people just assumed that I didn't know anything, which is not true. So I thought about things a lot. So I had a lot of information. It's just that I didn't really feel the need to share unless I was asked. And if you're an introvert, I'm sure you resonate with this. How often you actually put up your hand and say, I have the answer? Probably not so often. Just because, we are people who, like to stay behind the curtains, stay in the sidelines and only really volunteer when you really have to. It's not a great habit, but, it's just important to recognize that is the way you react on the default, so that you can take steps to be more vocal, to be aware of how other people are perceiving you as an introvert, and ask yourself, is this helpful for your career or not? Because we all work in very different environments, right? And if you happen to be in a workplace whereby you're just so quiet and you can't get along with other colleagues, right, other teams, there might be a problem, right? It might have pretty negative implications in your career, or even in business as well. If you're an entrepreneur and you tend to want to do things on the back end, just hiding behind your emails, and people are not hearing from you. So that's where miscommunication tends to happen. When people are not hearing, we're not connecting human to human, right? So we're just using a bunch of emails and all sorts of calendar invites and whatnot. So quiet doesn't mean stupid, but being too quiet does hold you back in certain ways in your career or in business. It's just to what extent. So for all you introverts out there, yes, I'm here to tell you that quiet doesn't mean stupid. Quiet doesn't mean that you have less intelligence abilities compared to someone else, right? Compared to your peers, your friends, or whatnot. But do recognize that it does hold you back. And it's really up to you to decide to what extent you want to open up and at a pace that you feel comfortable with. This is something that I had to learn. It was a journey for myself. And the fact that I could move up very quickly in an international bank, I've held very senior positions while only in my 20s. It's about my willingness to step out from my comfort zone and be less quiet, right? To engage with other people, because like I said, right, some of the really most important skills you need to learn is communication, getting along with people, and creating win-win relationships. None of which you can achieve if you are just extremely quiet and you keep to yourself and you don't talk. So if you don't talk, then you don't exist, and that's not what we want. So I want you all to thrive. I want you all to do absolutely amazing. So let's start with this. Let's start with deciding to be more open and really step out of your comfort zone. So that's all I have for today's podcast, and I look forward to speaking with you in my Other Days series and for this entire week. So looking forward. Till next time. Bye. Thank you for joining me today. If we have not yet connected, I look forward to connecting with you. You can find me on my website, www.goddaping.com, on LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. The links to my profiles are in this episode's description box. I can't wait for you to join me in the next episode of my Gotta Ping podcast. Till next time, bye!